welcome to the We Rock podcast, episode number 33.
Yes, sir. 33.
Yep. The exciting, we are finally, I guess, kind of back to normal.
Right. Yeah, we're officially a week removed now.
Hold on though. As soon as I say that, somebody's going to be like, they were so hungover from being there that it took them a week to come off of it. No, not even close. Didn't feel a thing except for when Austin spiked my lip there. Austin tried to roofie me. Is really what this comes down to.
Not in the Cosby sense of
No, but Austin roofied me is really what this comes down to. He gave me a 6 mil.
Would you say it was peer pressure?
Yes. Either that or I was duped. I'm not really sure.
Right.
Either that or I was duped. I didn't know what the heck I was being handed. So handed me a 6 milligram Zen and about knocked me on my rear end. We had a few drinks prior to that. I wasn't feeling a daggum thing. Put that in, and I don't know that I could have stood up much longer. So,
yeah, like I looked over there and you was humming like the Reading Rainbow book, theme or something.
I thought I did pretty well. It was pretty cool about going to lean up against that bar and not anybody notice.
Yeah,
I got rid of that thing quick. I got rid of it, and I was like, and as soon as I got it out of my lip, things started to settle down.
Right.
So, oh man.
Oh, yeah, Austin, does the room spin or is it just me?
Yeah. Jeez. So no, but it was a really good trip. I say that I probably need to be asking you. This was your first trip. I've talked about it before.
Oh, I'm very impressed with the trip. Not only was it just a good all around trip as far as the information that was there, it was by far one of the most fun monument conferences, conventions, whatever you want to call it, that I've ever been to. It just I wish there was a Monucon this weekend. I would be there. It was fun.
I'm sure we can make that happen.
Yeah.
Convince
everybody to fly back out again. No big deal.
Oh, look, just see how much a flight to Brooklyn is.
on short notice.
We're going to crash Joe's house. and with the hospitality we were given last weekend, I don't think he'd say no.
I agree. And you and I talked about this earlier. And, we being from Texas, the South, we pride ourselves in, the Southern hospitality that we show people whenever they come down here. But yeah, I have to say that we got a schooling in that.
Oh gosh, I felt like a child there. It was bad. He bent over backwards is not even close enough to being accurate.
No. And I've had several people call me since I've been home and wanted to know what I thought of Monucon. And a majority of the people, they've never attended a Monucon convention before. And like I tell them all, as far as the display room, there's not much different you can do with that. I mean, you have the vendors show up and then all of them bring their, respective product that they're going to be displaying. That is the same, but it's all the small details in between that just really set it apart from any other convention that I've been to. And it's down to just small things like whenever somebody was getting ready to give an educational session, everybody's phone went off there and it gave you the time, the location. It made sure that it kept people engaged there rather than it just everybody was having to check a piece of paper or, constantly go to your phone and try to scroll back to where you need to be.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it was all these little things that made you just appreciate the effort they put into things. The being in the display room and having music play.
It makes a difference. Like it's
like
a lot of times you get in there and it just gets stagnant.
But stale. It feels like you're having a conversation. You could be having a great conversation. But not having that music, like you wouldn't think about it until you've been in a situation where it's playing, right?
Correct. Well, heck, even whenever they had the ribbon cutting for the display hall, you walk into Eye of the Tiger's playing, and I know it's to some people it might sound corny or cheesy, but like it just works.
But there wasn't anybody that walked in there without a smile during that.
Exactly.
It was. I think you said that we're going to play some Freddie Fender whenever we do ours, right?
Yeah. Now that I have that is the national anthem of San Antonio, apparently. I'm going to play it either way. If I got to bring my Bluetooth speaker in, I'll do it. We're doing it.
They're going to run me off, but I'm going to do it anyway. I don't care.
I'm going to have fun until I don't. Like whenever
you're signing in to get in on an airplane, you scan your boarding pass.
Yeah. Of course, it was only you and me there to witness that one, and everybody else that was on that flight. See me get scolded like a 3-year-old by an American agent at gate. Gosh almighty!
Look,
sorry, I'm not part of the concierge key service or whatever they call it.
That slipped right out past her tooth, though.
Oh, it did. It did. Of course, they call for first group, and I look at our ticket. Our ticket says first group, and I'm like, cool, we'll just bebop right on this flight. Wrong.
No.
And my only regret was I was like, okay, I'll go first. I should have let you go first so I could witness it happen,
It was too early for me to be going first. That was not going to happen.
Yeah, but every airport we went to after that, because we experienced 4 airports in this trip, or 3 because we flew back, but
came back into one.
Yeah. But that didn't happen anywhere else.
No. Because didn't run into. No, that's 4 because we did it in Dallas.
Right.
Flew from Reagan to which we survived Reagan. We survived every flight because there was stuff going on in Chicago too. We flew into Chicago from Syracuse. So yeah, I mean we went through it 4 times, and you got harassed about it each and every time.
Not just the once. But I mean, technically,
no. I harassed you the other times.
Yep. Yeah, I was not harassed or scolded in an official manner. I was just harassed by my travel partner,
Well, I think it was appropriate.
Oh yeah.
So, but no, I mean, it was a really good show. Had a great time. Got to see some people I hadn't seen in a long time. I hung out with Don Calhoun a little bit, and Ian Aiello, who we hit.
Funny. Oh yeah.
Ian, who we had on the podcast, but hung out with him a little bit. I hadn't seen him since the last time Monucon happened. There's all the people that I met last time from New York. We found out that apparently you have a fan club.
No, we have a fan club. Not just me. No,
they didn't take pictures of me
because you weren't like I.
Now they're listening. Now they're listening to this, and it's they're your fan club, man.
You would have been in the picture too if you weren't out politicking somewhere else on that convention floor. I just happened to be right there. But
I was probably somewhere pushing somebody's buttons because that's what I enjoy to do.
100%. No, but that is one thing that I did enjoy, and seriously, thank you to every single one of you that came up
absolutely. I'm going to pick on y'all. If y'all hear us talking about you, we're not making fun. We're picking.
But see, the funny,
super grateful for everything everything y'all are doing for us.
But see, like one of the funny things is I had quite a few people tell me like, "Hey, we're one of y'all's tens of fans," and I was like, "Yes."
That's how you know they listen.
Absolutely. Then the whole song starts playing in my head. Look, Mom, I made it. I mean, but it was great to meet a lot of y'all that listen to this, and of course, Tony and I from the get go. Whenever we started this podcast, it wasn't for fame or anything like that. It was just because we genuinely enjoy what we do, and we like talking about what we do. So we figured, why not record?
Is tens of people really considered fans, or considered fame?
Well, hey, a two blade fan is still a fan. Oh man, but yeah, it was great to meet a lot of y'all. One of the things I enjoyed most was, of course, where we were to you and me. New York is a foreign country to us.
Oh yeah,
and
you mean like last time I went, the first time I went, I started my presentation with a slide that said, "I don't talk funny, y'all do."
Right. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
But so getting to meet a lot of you monument builders, from the north, from the New York, from New York State and, neighboring state.
Yep.
That was a lot of fun to get to meet y'all. Because even though we have a lot of shared experiences, it's neat to hear how y'all do things where y'all are from, especially, y'all deal with weather in a way that we don't. As we deal with weather in a way y'all don't also. It's just the opposite end of the temperature.
Yeah. It's just different. And how you approach those situations. But I always say that I want to know those scenarios, because I can't learn whenever I come into a scenario if I don't know the information. Mm-hmm. All that information, which is why we do this, right? This is why we do the podcast, because all we want to do is we want to talk about those scenarios and things going on in the world, or in our world, so that maybe it helps somebody else out. But hopefully it drives a conversation and somebody sends us information on another way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Now, but definitely since we've been up there and got to meet a bunch of people from, the opposite end of the country from us, next time Monucon rolls around, any of y'all from the South, I highly encourage y'all to go up there. I would like to see more of a showing from the South up there, in all honesty.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll call it, instead of the War of Northern Aggression, this will be the War of Southern Aggression. We'll come up there.
It gives a different meaning to the South's going to rise again, right?
Absolutely. But now coming up in June, of course, is our SMBA conference. And of course, SMBA, we do hold an open conference that anybody is welcome to attend. And it's going to be June 23rd through the 24th. And any of y'all from the north that want to attend, please come down there. We'll show y'all a good time in Texas, especially coming to San Antonio, which is one of the more historic cities in Texas.
Let's be real. San Antonio is the quintessential Texas city. I grew up in Houston. I'm a big Houston guy. I know you're a big DFW guy. You're a big FW guy. I don't know, but San Antonio is, if somebody ever asked me where to go visit and they've never been to Texas, you got to go to San Antonio. Mm-hmm. You've got to. Yes, everybody is going to say Riverwalk, but there's so much to do there. The food is phenomenal. You're not going to find better food in the state of Texas than you will in San Antonio.
I agree.
Somebody's going to go, oh, well, Austin's food is weird. And it's chinchy. You want good Mexican food. You want a good atmosphere. You go to San Antonio. From there, you're not far from just about everything. They do have SeaWorld and Six Flags all there. Some of the best shopping you can find, not just in downtown, but if you go out to La Cantera, out that way, some of the best shopping that you can have, where it's I think there's the needless markup out there and all that other stuff. So
I've never heard that. I love that one. No, but talking about the food, especially with our convention that we have coming up, our banquet, we decided to go offsite with it, and we're going to be having our banquet at Texas Day Brazil. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Brazilian steak in the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm. Hey, there's Brazilian cowboys. They're actually pretty good.
No, they don't. No, they're not. They're like called gauchos.
Gauchos.
Yeah, and they've got some pretty cool attire. So I couldn't pull it off, but whatever.
Maybe. So maybe we should try. You don't know until you've given it a shot.
Yeah, the old college try.
The old college try. That's right.
But
I don't know.
I mean,
I still believe my graduation from college was a clerical error, but I still got the degree.
I wasn't sure I was going to get my diploma because I had a parking ticket, and that was always the rumor that if you had a parking ticket, you weren't going to get your diploma. And what it was is I parked my motorcycle in the parking garage, and you're not allowed to do that, even though I paid for the parking. I paid because the kids will go by the turnstiles or whatever. So they wrote me a ticket for parking in the parking garage on the motorcycle. I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. So yeah, $40 ticket. I refused to pay it because I thought it was just evil.
Well, you had paid for the parking. You're standing on principle.
Exactly. I'd already paid for the parking. Right. And then I'm getting a ticket on top of that. So this is ridiculous.
No, I thought we lived in America.
No, not on campus, apparently.
No.
So,
no, that's like Indian reservation nearly. they have their own rules, and you do not break them.
100%. But no, we of course we loved the what was it, the Tin Rooster.
The Tin Rooster.
I continue to affectionately call it the honky tonk.
Of course,
didn't play any honky tonk music whatsoever.
No, not at all. Of course, several people there asked me. They said, "What do you think of this bar?" And they said, "Because you've been to like some country bars in Texas." And I said, "Oh yeah, no, I've been to a bunch, especially like during my college days." And they said, "What do you think of it?" And I said, "This one amuses me." And yeah. I said, it's not that this is a bad place, because it was actually a really neat place, but it was just funny to me to see a country aspect in the state of New York. The term came to mind really quick, all hat, no cattle.
Well, that became pretty relevant whenever we were getting attention of all the people. Like, you and I both look like two wore out shoes, a left and a right, and we're in there wearing felt hats.
Yep, and
we're getting attention. And on that note, massive shout out to Shannon over at Monucon for saving me. Some drunk cowgirl quote. You can't see the air quotes if you're listening. I'm not on the drunk part, on the cowgirl.
Well, I think you can drop the girl from the first part of that and just go with the first part of that. I mean, it was rattle, rattle. Here comes the cattle,
She comes up, she's messing with my hat, and Shannon goes, "He's with me," because she knew my wife wasn't there, and she knew I wasn't dancing with anybody because my wife wasn't there.
Oh no!
So I told Emily that. She died.
But speaking of dancing, I've learned that Tyler from Monuworks, he's a very enthusiastic dancer. No, it's funny that the next day, several people from Monuworks came up to me and they're like, "We hear you have video. We need to see this." And it just happened to be to Shania Twain's "Man, I Feel Like a Woman."
No,
great time.
But good time. And I loved everybody took care of us so well. Of course, after that night, that bar was so loud that we had to scream at each other just to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't thinking about that, the effects of that. So the next day I wake up, I'm just as hoarse as I could possibly be. And so I drank so much water trying to fix the situation.
And of course, that's on the day that you have to give your education there.
Yep. So I was super fortunate. Everybody's looking out for me. You know, they're amazing people. And so I had Dave over at Monuworks went out of his way to go buy me some lozenges. So I had Halls and survived on those to get those through. But I got through, survived somehow.
Yeah.
So
now, and like I told you, I was looking forward to every educational session that there was there, but I was really looking forward to yours because it was my original intent that I was going to go in there and sit front and center, and I was going to be a smart ass. And, you know, not to, you know, derail what you're doing, but just be there and just be how we are with one another. But man, I got to tip my hat to you. About 10 minutes in, I was just sitting there listening very intently. I'm like, this is good. Like, yeah. No, I came away from your session with quite a few things that I've already talked with you about it, that I'm adopting here in my business.
Yeah.
And I mean, that just goes to show, don't ever pretend like you got it all figured out. Talk to somebody else and learn from them.
And even for me though, too, because, you know, while I give out that information then on the way we do things, that doesn't mean that it's rock solid. You know, I want to hear how other people are doing things. I've had this mindset for a while, and, you know, I've talked about this for a little bit, that I want to go somewhere else in the country to a shop and spend a day or so with them and actually meet with one of their customers
100%,
and try my sales process on them. Because I want to see, is what I'm doing, is it regional?
So,
right?
So what you want to do, and of course I know it's not the exact same format because you'd be going to someone else's business, but basically what you're wanting to set up is a monumental version of Undercover Boss.
Yes. Why not? That sounds great.
Yes.
And then we'll have the meeting afterwards, and the ones that need to get fired get fired.
It'd be terrible if you were the one. Mr. Watson, you know, we went out on a limb with you. We really had a lot of faith in you to get this job done, but we're just here to let you know that it's not going to work out, sir. Please vacate the premises.
I didn't even get paid for this. No, it was great. Even you know, Don Calhoun, who doesn't know how to speak in front of people. No, Don's been speaking forever, and he got up and spoke on technology and innovation and things like that, and using those things. And it was funny because he said he made his entire presentation off of AI, and which wasn't far off from what I did.
I was about to say, seems to be the going theme.
Yeah, I doctored mine quite a bit because I wanted it to be mine. I didn't want it to all just be AI, but the outline itself, AI driven. So
I had several people, I could hear them like talking. They're like, that is some cool pictures. And then you drop the dime that it was
AI. Whoa, he made all that? No. Well, I dictated it.
You gave AI the idea.
Sure.
I mean, so ipso facto.
Yeah, so I guess it's mine.
Yeah, 100%.
But now, no.
What was your biggest takeaway? Like whenever you left out of there, the thing that's still been just front and center on your mind?
I think there's been a few things that I've really been kind of leaning on. I brought home some photos of some different things. I'm going to order a couple of things from a couple of different guys up there in Barrie. I think it's probably not a bad idea for Southerners to adopt buying some from Barrie.
I'm in the same boat with you. I'm talking with a couple Barrie wholesalers at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's don't keep all your eggs in one basket. And now, like forever, I'm not gonna be able to buy a truckload of stuff to come down here. It doesn't make a lot of sense right now, but LTL stuff works really well. They can ship it LTL, and I'm willing to pay.
And the rates I've been quoted out of Barry so far are not terrible.
No,
I've been quite surprised at that.
I have no problem throwing a few extra bucks that way to say put some extra boards around it so that they can't drive the forks through the daggum thing. So,
but like one thing, and not to throw any shade at Elberton, but Barry, they're very traditional in a lot of the things that they do, and again, not to throw any shade at Elberton, but Barry is home to some of the oldest and most well-known stone manufacturers there are in the United States. And I mean, there's a lineage that runs thick and proud through there.
Yeah. And I would say the reverse should be the same for those up north. Don't be afraid to buy out of Elberton.
100%.
It's don't lean so hard on one direction and not the other. But I know that was one of the big deals is being able to come back home with a plan to start buying more from that direction. The discussion with the finance guy, like, look, I've said it before on here. I've said it before in private to other folks and stuff like that. The insurance talks, the finance talks, they don't excite me. I don't get all worked up and go, yeah, sign me up for that one. The guy that did it this time was really good.
Oh, he was entertaining.
He was entertaining. So he and I got along. I may bounce some stuff off of him. We already have a money guy here that we use for our stuff. So I'll probably be having more of a conversation with that guy about some of the other stuff that we need to change and things like that.
That just goes to show, don't pass up on those sessions just because, one, you may just be totally disinterested because you have your own money guy, but listen to what he has to say and at least bounce those ideas off of the person or the firm or whatever that you're using.
Yeah. Yeah. So that one was really good. Saw some pretty cool stuff. I spent money with, I guess, I don't know. Did I spend money with Cameron or?
You spent money there for sure.
Well, yes, but he upgraded my Corel while we were there. So, and that was, Cameron and I have a interesting relationship. And when I say Cameron and I have an interesting relationship, what I mean is every time, and so if I offended you and you were at the convention, I'm sorry, but every time I see Cameron with somebody, I go up out of my way to try to harass him a little bit and interrupt, just because
100%.
He kind of locks up a little bit and it entertains me.
But the one thing this time between you and Cameron that just had me like in stitches was you. Of course, you're sitting there trying to harass him, and you're telling Cameron, you know how many mouse clicks I got to do to get this done? And he's like, oh, that's not good enough for it. And he's like, watch this. And he just does like a single mouse click or one keystroke. And he's like, are you happy with this now?
Yeah, but then the only problem with that is he found a solution for the problem so fast that I had to come up with another problem. And it's like, I wasn't prepared for him to have a solution. So now I'm coming with a list next time.
just drag a chair up and you've got just a flip book. Here we go.
Yeah. So no, so he upgraded my Corel, which I guess my money went to Corel on that one, but to his credit, I literally handed him my laptop and he set it up right then and there. So
yeah.
But got it all back up. We're running 2024 now. So, which I guess, does that make us a year behind?
you upgraded to an obsolete program. There we go. I don't even know what version you got right now.
I'm trying to think of what else was all there. I mean, they had, there's one that we know that I don't know that I feel comfortable talking about yet because I don't know that it's been released. That was the one you and I talked about with somebody local we know here. I can leave it. Huh?
Well, I mean,
I think he's going.
He's going to Ohio.
He's going to Ohio, but I don't know if he was ready to have too much of a conversation about it until he got there.
Because I know this week is his beta test on his own.
Yes. But what he's doing is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and again, don't know if we can put it all out there or not, but basically he's building a system that is going to connect every date cutter in the nation. Would be the most, ideal thing to do. So if you have a date to sell, somebody comes in to buy a date of death from you and it's way outside your territory, it will put you in contact with date cutters in that area. Yeah. And I think it's a phenomenal system. And the best thing is it does not cost you anything to use it.
Mm-mm. So no, no money out of your pocket. I think that, so of course we talk a lot about I talk a lot about the Dave Pace rule of thumb going to these conventions, bring back $10,000 worth of information, right? Of ideas. Mm-hmm. Do you have $10,000 worth of savings or money to make or whatever there?
Oh yeah, I'm there. Definitely. But between the items I'm in the process of talking with, a couple different suppliers about, and some of the technology that's there. And also, listening to things. And again, don't let your headphones like bulge off your head, but some of the ideas from your session. And of course, like, I don't know, like you said, between the savings and the ideas I'm coming back with, the things that I'm instituting here, it's more than $10,000. Oh yeah, he's about breaking his arm trying to pat himself on the back. So there you go.
No, it's I think that the same kind of things is the stuff that we're buying, the stuff we're changing. Mm-hmm.
But the main question
learning about
is
the daggum spider crane. Learning about that stupid spider crane put me in a position where I go, that is going to fix so many problems as long as I can find one in an area where I need it.
I want
knowing that that's so available.
Bad. I want one so bad.
Halvesies?
I'll split the baby.
I'm just, what's halfway between you and me?
Well, heck, it doesn't matter what's halfway between you and me. It's just whoever needs it has it, and then whenever the other one needs it, it comes back.
You just go pick it up.
Yeah, it just lives here or lives there for a while.
Yeah, no, that thing is worth its weight in gold.
Mm-hmm. My main question to you is: have you figured out where you're putting your Statue of Liberty?
Well, we got to make some changes to it, though. Fortunately, he's only got the one. So we're gonna change it. He's gonna have the Statue of Liberty will be raising a 1911 in the air, but it's going to be wearing a poncho and a cowboy hat and some boots.
I really wish our convention was a full display convention, at least every now and then, and try to encourage him to do like a San Jacinto monument.
I will not be trying that again.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
That was a pain in the butt. That thing, I'm telling you right now, the actual San Jacinto monument, based on its scale, should not stand up.
True,
just shouldn't. When you realize the one we were building was a 1/10 scale replica, and it was 60 feet tall.
Off the top of your head, do you know how much taller it is than the Washington Monument?
15 feet.
15 feet. Okay.
So this one was 60 some odd feet tall, but The width of it was 3.5 feet.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah. So my buddy and I talked about it in the truck yesterday because he was going to help me build it. And that was one we go, thank God we actually didn't go through. That guy canceled that job for whatever reason, fine. But we would not be able to sleep anytime a storm came through.
Oh, no, you'd be out there parked watching it, getting ready to warn people to get away from it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For the rest of my life. If it ever went over, if it ever fell over, y'all would never hear from me again. The Watson Monument would not exist anymore. I would be Antonio Sanchez selling gravestones, and we'd be like Aggieland gravestones or something like that.
You would just go to a complete countertop model. Watson countertops.
Yep. No.
Hey, weren't you the guy with that sand just sitting? Nope, totally different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, say, senor. No.
Oh man. So no, but overall, end all be all, great show. Had a great time. If y'all missed it this time and y'all were thinking about it, you definitely missed out. Mm-hmm. We made friends with the bouncer at the honky tonk.
Oh yeah,
she's a bestie.
She added both of us on Facebook.
She did. She did. And told us to bring our wives next time.
Right.
So, but no,
I just remember walking down to go to the happy hour before the banquet on the last night, and she just happened to be like walking through that hallway. And I look over and I was like, oh, there she looked around. She's like, my Cowboys, my Cowboys.
So yeah, if you missed out this time, you definitely missed out. It's if you thought about going, next time it comes around, sign up. It'll be worth it.
Please do.
I can promise you, I can absolutely 100% without shadow of a doubt tell you right now, I would put money on it, that Joe will make sure you have a good time.
Oh yeah. And if you don't know Joe, by the time you leave that, you will know Joe.
Yes. Yep.
And Mikey C. And Mikey C.
And Mikey C. I will tell you right now, I've been calling Joe the Don of the Monument Builders Convention. Mm-hmm. So he's the Don Corleone. Mm-hmm. So, but no, great time. But so what else you got going on in your world though?
Oh man, of course, just get back and getting in the roll of things, but I am now getting into my happy time of year. The weather's warming up, as they say, you're coming out of that seasonal depression, which my seasonal depression is an absence of baseball. And now baseball is back. Spring training is in full form right now. I'm here for it. Like I'm monitoring a spring training game right now. Like,
yep.
Aggies
are at Dakin Park this weekend.
Okay.
So they've got a tournament down there at Dakin Park, and they're on a little bit of a slide, 2-game slide, but we had a little bit of an issue go on where our starting third baseman, who's one of the top hitters in the country, is having to undergo shoulder surgery. So
that's a tough
hit. That was a tough hit, but we're pretty deep. So we'll see how this goes. But no, man, I got back in. Still trying to get my voice back a little bit, but got back in, trying to get my feet back underneath me. Have just battling cemeteries more than anything right now. I've got cemeteries that are giving us heck about getting in. One, we were supposed to install a monument in back before Christmas, and it had been wet, so they said, nope, you can't go install it. I'm like, okay. So we kept checking, and they wouldn't allow us to go get. So I finally just the other day drove out there and went and looked and walked the cemetery. I'm like, it's dry. I don't know what the heck the problem is. So finally, I call over there. Guy answers, hey, can I install this? Yeah, no problem. I can go mark it. And I go, you can go mark it, but I know exactly where it is. And as long as you're comfortable with the temporary tag that's there, let us go. And he let us go finally. But the one I had the biggest issue with this week said that we called up there and we had two monuments. This cemetery is an hour away from us. There's two monuments that need to go in there and two different families. So we want to make one trip, right? Well, the smaller monument, which is a 4-foot marker, they didn't want to mark the plot for us because the plot is settled below grade, right? And she goes, "Well, I've got to call the gravedigger to come backfill it." I'm like, "I'll backfill it. Let me do it. I mean, if it means we can get in there and do it, I'll do it. I mean." And like you and I talked, that
is
my guys love doing that.
Greatest things. If you were on the setting crew that day and you come up to a grave to set a headstone and it has settled, you're like, good gosh. I mean, it's like a ray of sunshine coming down from the heavens on it. I do not have to wheelbarrow dirt today.
Yeah, no, it's such a headache, And so the other problem with her was she didn't want to allow us to do the install because the deceased is the wife of my customer. The deceased sister has passed as well, and her monument has fallen over. And the cemetery sexton wants the brother-in-law of the one whose monument has fallen over to pay for the monument to be releveled. She has her own husband who's living.
And what does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
Well, that's kind of my point. So I had to, like we're telling her, look, it's not his responsibility. He can get you the guy's cell phone number. You can reach out to him directly. If the guy wants to pay me to do it while I'm out there, I'll do it. I have no problem with that. However, that's not my customer.
No. Well, on top of that, who's to say that it wasn't a gravedigger or a lawnmower or something else that caused that had nothing to do with the way the headstone was setting to begin with?
Right.
You just can't place blanket blame on a family and say you got to pay up.
Right. So I think I've decided, I haven't figured out exactly how to do this, but one of my next steps that I'm going to start doing is I'm going to see about trying to get a limited power of attorney for our customers to us or whatever that will only be focused on the monument and the plot that the monument sits on, and only extend up until the point in which the monument is installed.
Now, that's an idea that I've kicked around myself, especially dealing with some of the larger corporate cemeteries that we deal with from time to time, or a lot of the time. But we run into so many issues that they tell us that, this or this can't be done because this person hasn't signed or this person hasn't signed. Well, if I have that power of attorney, I'm representing that family in that capacity. And if anything, that's just me offering a better level of customer service to my customers so they don't have to be bothered with all these ancillary measures.
Yeah. I did reach out to one of my cemetery contacts that we do business with. So there's a large conglomerate cemetery that we service in a major town to the west of us. And that particular cemetery, I asked my contact over there, hey, I'm running into issues with this and this and this in different cemeteries all over. She goes, okay. I asked her directly, what if I had a limited power of attorney? Would that be something y'all would accept? And she goes, absolutely, 100%. She said, we'd want a copy of it. And I go, well, that's reasonable. And I would think that I would think that would make sense because you need to be able to prove where that information or where that approval went, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
so
100%
agree with that. But no, I mean, if at the bare minimum, being able to say, look, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to take care of the setting fees and stuff like that. And I'm going to have the family reimburse me, but that's one less headache because like even for us, there's a small cemetery we don't have any problems with. They're a great cemetery, city of Navasota. They've got a rule that's set up where the family has to go in to the city office and pay the setting fees. It's like a $50 setting fee. It's so nominal. It's cheap. But a lot of these people live out of town, right? Now, if I have power of attorney, I can go do that for them and they don't have to worry about it, about driving in because it's a bit ridiculous. And the lady that's over it, it's not her fault. It's city council that's come up with this rule or the parks department or whatever. But if I've got the power of attorney, then that family doesn't have to spend more money in fuel than the cost of the permit fee. So that's something we're looking at doing. I'm just rather fed up of dealing with stupid rules and things. And so what I'm trying to do is find a way where I can set myself up where I have a legal way to fight for the families that we serve.
Oh yeah. And one thing that would solve a lot of this is if these cemeteries that have instituted these fees or whatever, I mean, like a good example is the one across the road from me.
Yep.
That, a permit to set a headstone out there is $595, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. But if the notion, the typical notion is that whenever somebody buys a plot, that there is going to be a headstone placed on that mark, on that grave. Why is that not just all wrapped up at the point of sale,
right,
of the plot, rather than down the line? Because in most instances, whenever somebody's purchasing a cemetery plot, they're doing it with insurance money.
Yeah.
So why not just be able to make it easier on them rather than having to become an actual expense to them down the road? I mean, heck, I've got one cemetery right now that they instituted a new setting fee out there of $25. Whoop-de-doo, no big deal. We went out there, my guys went out there to go set a headstone 3 weeks ago. And they said, well, we haven't been paid. And we said, we knew nothing about this $25 setting fee. We've received no letter in the mail, no phone call, anything. And I ended up talking with the cemetery sexton out there. And I said, let's just grandfather this one in. My guys don't have cash or check on them or anything like that. All right, we'll do it. Last week, I get a bill in the mail for $25. And again, like, I don't care. It's $25, but it's still $25 that is coming directly out of my pocket. And
you're like, but $20 is $20.
It was a wise man once said, absolutely. But he just hammered me on this, like demanding that I put that check in the mail that day. And I said, I will get to it. Don't worry about it. And
yeah, but the problem is that kind of mindset. Look, he's the nickel holding up the dollar. I'm not dropping everything for your $25 bill that you instituted. If you want it that bad, make the drive over here. I'll give it to you in cash.
Right. And I'm contemplating a stack of pennies at the moment because this is a cemetery sexton that we do run into a good bit of issues with. I mean, literally one day, my guys went out there to set 3 military match granite markers, just the flat 2x1s. He had them out there for over 3 hours. And of course, that prompted a phone call from me wanting to know why he's out there getting in the way of my guys performing their job whenever they have other things down the line they need to be doing.
Well, it's dumb. Some of these guys and they're always these like hayseed country folks that think that they're gonna they are going to try and improve their books or whatever. Some of them are like, I've seen some of them with the best of intentions, but they go about it the wrong way. So
Which I got to tip my hat to a lot of the people that are that have volunteered to take over these small country cemeteries, because in many instances, once, Earl, that's been taking care of it since, 83, he passes away. A lot of times there's nobody there to take the reins. And so,
right.
I got to commend the people that are willing to step up, but let's not come in and change the game, because at the end of the day, it's a small country cemetery that maybe sees 15 burials a year at most.
Right.
Calm down.
And so we had one that was up near Waco, and I think we talked about this before, but he sent out a letter saying, moving forward, there was going to be a installation fee that was going to be, and I don't remember what the actual number was. We'll just say, for argument's sake, 10% of the sale value of the monument. And I said, no.
He's getting a different receipt, I can tell you that much. I
said, you can't do that. I said, it's legally, I don't have the right to show you what that person's what that person's bill is. You have no paperwork showing any kind of requirement or anything like that. I'm not going to show you their invoice. And I said, plus you're going about this the wrong way anyway. I said, you're trying to, and his percentage was low enough. It wasn't anything crazy. So it was something like, I had done the math for him, and it was like, if you'd sold a $25,000 monument, it was pretty low. It wasn't 10%. It just 10% is an easy number to come off my head with. But basically what I said was, look, cremation's on the rise. You're going to see more 2x1 markers in that cemetery and cremation monuments than you're ever going to see in the $25,000 monuments. And he goes, yeah, I know. I said, do a flat fee of $100. A flat fee is, if you do a flat fee of $100, you're going to be doing better anyway, because on the 2x1 markers, you're going to be you're still going to get $100. But yes, you're not going to do as well on the big ones. Who cares? You're going to get more of them at a time. And nobody's going to balk over $100 for a setting fee.
No.
Not if the cemetery is upkept. Now, if you're not keeping the cemetery up, then yes, they might. But
yeah. I mean, they have to see some value in what they're doing, the fees that they're having to pay.
And you still better get up and go market, not complain about when you got to go market.
Man, I've got one cemetery now that they instituted a new rule. And again, it's the one across the road from me, that, they went up from $395 to $595 on a permit fee. And then they also said that the stone has to be set within 10 days of us submitting the permit, or we will be charged the $595 again. And yeah, I know. Which I told them one time, I said, okay, I submit the permit. There's sometimes y'all are very slow to turn that around to me. So is the clock ticking then, or is it ticking whenever I receive the permit back from y'all? And I've heard two different stories on that. And then I've also told them, what if weather comes up and I'm looking at some, substantial delays? Well, we'll just talk with you when that comes up. And I said, no, I need to know right now. Because if you're going to charge me another $595, are you okay with me rutting up your cemetery? Well, no, we don't want you rutting up the cemetery. And I said, okay, so where's the line? I need to know. Again, still have not received complete clarification on that.
Yeah, there would be no shot in hell that I would ever pay them another $600.
No. Snowball's chance in hell ain't happening.
It just, I mean, I would like, there's a receipt. We can take it to court. I'm happy to do that. You tell me how you want to play this, or I can call the TV station. Which one do you want to do?
Oh, and it's one thing, like I've told a lot of people before, and coincidentally, I heard you say it in that marvelous educational session you had. I didn't know if I told you it was good or not, but it was pretty good. But you had said, and like I'd said for a while, know the rule books of the cemeteries you deal in better than the people that work in that cemetery.
Yep. And make it a game.
Oh,
it is such a game for me.
Oh,
I want to find the holes.
It's intramural sport for me sometimes.
Yeah.
But the one thing that gets me the most, especially with the one across the road from me, is the last rule in their book that states that they have the right to amend, abandon, change whatever rule they see fit at any time.
Yep. I have an email right now with one that I've got to go over Monday. And it is a cemetery that's currently run by the Catholic Church. It was not originally run by the Catholic Church. It is there originally there was Smetana White and Smetana Black, and Smetana White became the Catholic cemetery. It only became the Catholic cemetery because somebody put up a crucifix in honor of their brother that's fairly tall, and then management handed it over to the church, right?
Oh,
so Smetana Black had run for ever, and a lot of the Protestants buried out there.
mm-hmm.
Okay. But there was a not-for-profit group that kind of ran it, and nobody would take it over. So they passed it off to the Catholic Church. Well, the family we're working with now has had the plots for 30 years longer than the Catholic Church has been maintaining that spot.
Right.
They want to put in a small cremation monument, and they don't have any Christian symbols on it. And the Catholic Church is saying, nope, it's got to have a Christian symbol on it. And we don't do cremation monuments above ground unless it's in the mausoleum.
Wow.
And you go, all right, no above ground burials is specifically what they said, with the exception of the mausoleum. And I said, okay, well, hold on. I have a book. When I say I have a book, let me show you. I have a book. This is the history. It's the sequential centennial of honoring the Brazos Valley, Brazos County book. So it's the history of Brazos County. And in there, that's where you learn about Smetana White and Smetana Black. That cemetery was specifically a Bohemian cemetery.
Yeah, you've taken it beyond just knowing the rules of the cemetery. You're going into the historical aspects of the cemetery.
Yeah. So, if you know the history of the Czechs and the Polish and the Germans, you come at me and tell me how many of them that settled in Texas were Catholic, especially in that area.
Right.
So, yeah. But no, that's what we're dealing with now. But it'll be all right. So we've got a I've got a lonely week. You know, we had a lonely week. I got back from this, and Emily had her work trip, so she was gone all week. She got back yesterday, and then she leaves tonight to go on a women's retreat with the church. But what's funny is our group of people that hang out on Friday nights, all of those wives are gone too. So the guys are on daddy daycare duty.
There we go.
For the weekend. But what that means is tonight we hang out, we do our thing. It means good cigars. And tomorrow when we get up, we're doing a brisket all day.
Oh, you're not going to start the brisket tonight?
We were going to start. One of the guys was going to start it today, actually, originally, and he wasn't feeling too well this morning, so he didn't get it on early enough. So he said, "Nah, he'll start it. It's already prepped, but he'll start it, put it on early in the morning tomorrow, and we'll have it. We're at 14 hours for that one.
That'll work.
So, yeah. So
good deal.
We'll get moving on it.
Right.
But other than that, man, that's what we got going on. We're going to relax and chill out a little bit this weekend, slow it down.
Yes, sir.
Of course, I've got a short break. I know that there's some folks going to Cleveland in, I think, 2 weeks or something, but I've got a month, and then I'm headed to Elberton for Hard Rock. So
awesome.
It'd be good. I'm trying to get some stuff done. I've got a monument out back that is, I may share with you whenever I get it done.
Okay.
I may not, because it's nothing crazy. It's not a SERP top, but it's the shape of it's not anything insane. But what I've done with the layout of the stone is pretty cool. And then, so what I've got to do to it is I've got to sculpt some hands on it. So,
okay.
We're not going to shape carve them. I'm actually going to carve them into the stone. So
nice.
That's if I ever find time, that's what I'm going to try and do next week.
Are you going to be hand axing all this, or are you using some power tools?
Pneumatics.
Okay.
Yeah. No. When I get into the finishing details, I may start using just strictly hand tools on it, just to make sure you don't screw up and hit it too hard. But other than that, just keep it simple.
I want you to reference your pictures from Italy, looking at a lot of the sculpture work there, and how you can tell what tendons are raised, based upon the finger.
Yeah.
I need to see the detail.
Well, I mean, look, just call me Bernini. It's exactly
Antonio Bernini.
But other than that, gonna watch some baseball this weekend. Chill out. James got his first scrimmage on Monday.
Awesome.
So here's some metal bats hitting some balls.
Yes, sir.
So
I think my son's first game is in not this weekend, but the next. Yeah, we'll be in.
It's a little better. It's a little better hearing it hit the balls and seeing it than whenever you're watching on Instagram and you're hearing metal bats hit people's heads. So, because that was happening this week.
Yeah, I don't know how many of y'all have pay attention to Instagram Reels, but this week or two days ago, it got a little Western.
Woo! Yeah. It was like almost every video you had to click to see it.
Right, and I clicked to see everyone.
But on that note, I'm gonna get out of here. Just go say goodbye to my wife before she hits the road.
There you go. Well, good to see you, and until next time.
Yeah, take it easy.
Yes, sir.